Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Bonga, Dada, Bonga.
Bonga, Dada, Bonga.
You're most welcome to this live broadcast, talking to Kenyan women in politics ahead of the 2022 elections. Kenya, in case you don't know, is going to have elections in August, and this show is a show by women, for women, about women, looking into what lies ahead for women in particular who want to engage in representative politics. What does that look like? And why should you vote for a woman? On the studio this week, we have some amazing women from Uganda who will be speaking to us about how women who want to occupy public space engage online and what that looks like and how it's different from engaging in physical versus virtual reality. But before we go there, I would love to ask Queen Mother to please tell us a little bit about why this show, where did it come from, and why are we on episode 4 now, Queen Mother?
Wow. Thank you for that, Achieng. It is a beautiful day. I'm happy to be here with you this evening for this Bonga Dada Bonga show. And how it came about is in the month of March, during Women's History Month, Queen Mother Speaks had a program of inviting women from around the globe. We dealt with the theme of Women's History Month, which was break the bias. And women began to talk about their challenges all over various countries, various regions around the world. And when we got to Kenya and we started talking about challenges and biases in this country, some of the women began to speak up and out. In fact, they began to really have some major concerns about what is it going to look like for August 2022. Even after the month of March completed and Women's History Month was over, we were still getting a lot of SMSs about it. And so I went to my inner self and I said, now, Lord, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't vote in Kenya. And let the truth be told, during election time, most foreigners just get out of Dodge. We just get up and get out. But I said, if this keeps coming to me, what am I supposed to do? And what I had heard very clearly in my own spirit was, you have a platform, open it up. And that's what we decided to do. And then we began to call on women like Achieng, who we know have an interest in what happens to women in the world and what happens to women in Africa. And thus, Bonga Dada Bonga was born. That is the story.
Thank you so much, Queen Mother, for reminding us where we started from. And so now we're in our 4th episode. I can't believe it. It seems like just
Fourth
yesterday
episode. That
doing
is
women.
really wonderful.
That is amazing. And so we provide solidarity to women in politics, a space for them to tell us what their dreams are for the country, but also to talk about issues that affect them. In the studio today, I have my co host, Irene Mwendwa from Policy. Irene, welcome. Please introduce yourself and tell us more about Policy and how is it that we're doing this show together.
Thank you so much, Achieng. Thank you so much, Queen Mother, for first of all having this wonderful platform. My name is Irene Mwendwa. I hope you can hear me well. I'm in a public place. I've been in a conference doing the same work the whole day. So my name is Irene, as Achieng has introduced me. I lead feminist movement building at Policy. Policy with double L. We are a feminist Civitech-based organization based in Kampala, Uganda, but we are a regional organization in that we do regional work. What we are trying to achieve is a feminist internet, an internet where women can be able to be bold, look at the opportunities and explore the opportunities the internet provides, and also engage freely, because at the end of the day, it's a social hall for everyone to engage. So happy to be here today, and I hope we are all going to be learning from one another. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Irene, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for co-creating this show with me today. I'm really pleased that we got it off to a good start, and I'm really looking forward. I'm really excited about the conversations that we're going to have today. Now, on the show, we have some incredible women who are here to talk to us a bit more about what happens in virtual reality. We've heard a lot about from our former participants, about our former panelists, about what happens in actual, and we'll hear a bit of that as a reminder. But before we go there again, let's hear from our two lovely ladies in the studio. Honorable Olive Namazi, please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you.
Hi, ladies. I hope you're all fine, especially to our aspirants in Kenya. Good evening to you all. My name is Olive Namazi, Honorable, and I'm LC Woman Councillor representing an area called Nakawa in the capital city. I'm also the City Executive Minister for Public Health, Education, Environment, and Sports. I'm a member of the Forum for Democratic Change here, an opposition party here in Uganda. I'm so passionate about social justice. I'm so passionate about accountability. I'm a human rights activist. I hold a master's in public administration. I'm also a PhD scholar. I'm a mother of twins. I'm glad to be on this show. Thanks for hosting me. Thank you, Bonga the Bonga. Thank you, Policy, for the great work that you're doing to improve the digital resilience of all the women, especially those in politics.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Wakili, Samantha, I know you're having challenges with Umeme. I don't know what to say, but maybe you can introduce yourself. At least let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good evening, ladies and everyone listening. My name is Samantha Mwesije from Kampala. Unfortunately, as I logged in, I lost power, so I am dimly lit. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Uganda and a practicing lawyer. I've practiced for the past 15 years. I was thrust into the leadership space as a result of speaking out about sexual harassment, which I faced while I was practicing at the Attorney General's chambers in Kampala. I was harassed for over a decade by the Deputy Solicitor General then, who unfortunately was appointed a Court of Appeal justice just early this year, in spite me having an industrial action case against him in the industrial court. So I'm battling that. I've been battling it for the last 4 years. Still I rise. It's been brutal. But like I said, as a result of that, I've been thrust into a leadership space that I embrace. I would therefore welcome any questions, and I am glad to engage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being on the show, and thank you for sharing with us. That is not an easy place to be. But Wakili, we hope that your case will succeed somehow. We must punch through the patriarchy. We shall find a way, I'm sure. And I think, unfortunately, your story is not unique. When women step out into public spaces, they face a lot of challenges. And I'd just like to show a short clip of some of the women that we have been talking to and them talking about their experiences with violence as they try to stand for a political office.
You're curious. So what's the name again?
Sorry, technology is not my friend today. Excuse me. It's not the one I needed to show. Let me try that again. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, those who are joining us on the show today. We hope that you will enjoy the show. I see some shout outs are already coming in. Annabelle, thank you for your positive comments, and we look forward to um, thank you for joining the show. I see there Christine Jamo, thank you for joining the show. You're most welcome. Let's talk about this. What is it about violence against women, especially when they step out into the public? Okay, so I hope I've got it this time.
And you see, at the same time, I don't think we're even ready to deal with the barriers that specifically prevent women from participating effectively in electoral processes. I mean, take for instance electoral violence. Electoral violence affects more women than actually men. Like I think when I'm actually running for office, the first time I was running for office, even the advice people give you when you're running for office, the first thing is like it's on your security. Oh, make sure you have a trouser, make sure you have a burqa. You know what I mean? And at the same time, even when you look at the fact that we actually we've normalized electoral violence as the cost of participating in politics. I keep on saying that every time we even talk about peaceful election, and even when we talk about 2017 was a peaceful election, and if you've read the report that was done by PHRC in terms of the number of women and children who were raped and killed in the last election, over 200 women. But we say it was a peaceful election. It was a peaceful election because the two principals shook hands, and you know what? As long as the two presidential aspirants did not fight, then it was actually a peaceful election. Never mind, women get raped, women get killed, women get assaulted every other electoral year. You go and report an electoral violence case to a police, they're like, but that's how politics is. And I'm speaking, and I'm saying that because my personal experience when one time after speaking to a group of people, and it was almost, I think at 7 p.m., and I was trying to exit the place, and someone tried to strip me. Like, there's someone can try to like pull down your skirt and all. And I didn't even have a biker that day, by the way. I just had like a long kitenge skirt and all. And I remember even the people around me telling me, "Oh, don't overreact, don't scream. Guys will think you're, you're a bitter person. Guys will think, oh, you have temper." And the next day, my first stop was at the police station, and I remember the police officer first of all asking me, "Was that a party X zone where you were assaulted, or a party Z zone?" So as if to justify. So if actually I belong to party Z, and the assault happened in party X zone, so it's justifiable. That was the very first question the police asked me. Which zone were you, and which party do you belong to? You see? And at the end of the day, there was a back and forth. Oh, you're young. You know how politics is. Why are you putting yourself in the race? They didn't even give me, they didn't even give me time to actually do an OB, like they didn't even give me time. The way they kept on just scrutinizing, sasa wewe mrembo, unajisumbua na siasa, So that's what I'm saying. Some of these barriers, when you think about some of these barriers, they're like, why would I actually put myself there and die and leave my 5 kids? Reproductive roles, unpaid care work in this country that is not valued. There are women who don't even have time to go and vote because of the house chores. Like literally, I was seeing some cartoon, like what is it called? These cartoons that Gado draws. So they have something actually going on at Allianz. And I saw this picture where there was a woman at the voting queue. She has her baby at the back. She has a jerry can she's carrying, and then she has something else on the head. You see, like there's so many other things that you're thinking about. And even when it comes to money, a man can easily blow up 50,000. And for you, you're thinking this 50,000, are my kids well fed? Have I paid school fees? So even when you look at how, how men would internalize, how do I break down this resource? And how women would internalize, how do I actually break down this resource? How do I spread it to actually meet the basic and dire needs in my life before I even put myself there? So some of these barriers, it's been very intentional not to deal with the structural barriers that prevent women from participating effectively. So at the end of the day, when you throw yourself in the game, it's like, you know what? That's why even Carol began by saying it's blood and sweat. It's blood and sweat because the structural barriers, we're not doing much to deal with the structural barriers.
I think, Bina, you're bringing in a very interesting conversation, and especially where you speak about you have to wear trousers and a biker. Does it mean if I wear a dress, I'll be regarded as a weaker sex? Maybe, Carol, we could hear from your experience to know, is it the same story that I must almost wear a leather trouser with a lock and zip for me to be looked at like I have what it takes to be in politics? I don't know what Carol could be experienced probably also.
Carol, you're on mute. You're back on mute.
Kindly unmute, Carol. Awesome, you're good.
I think in this nation, we've normalized gender-based violence of women in politics. And because of that, I'm actually doing a research paper that I'm actually completing on approaches to safe spaces for women in politics, because I have never been in a space where I shared my story of gender-based violence, and even democracy organization, gender organization, feminist organization, all of them just listen to my story. No one has a solution. No one has a progressive way forward. And I think we have to start having conversations regarding solutions to this. We like, I don't know of any man who wears a suit or who wears pants, and then when he decides to vie for a political position, he has to think about what he has to wear, what he has to look like. Because I remember this first time I faced violence when I was vying in 2013 election, which was held in March 2013. And I remember going to the police station, and the police asked me, why is my opponent attacking me? Nilimkata. Did I refuse his advances? As if, am I meant to accept his advances because I'm vying for a political position? I remember I was so shaken. I was driving, and I remember putting my car on the side of the road because I was so shaken I couldn't drive. So I had to take a motorbike to go to the police station. And then when I arrive at the police station, they look at me head to toe. They're like, Nini umefanya? What have you done in order for this to happen to you? What have you, yani umemchokoza? You girls, you young, wasichana kama nyinyi ndio mnachokoza wanasiasa. Because I'm not a mwanasiasa.
Okay. We were able to listen to that. It was just giving us a brief about women sharing the experiences of violence, including the fact that they have to wear double clothes to avoid being stripped and harassed when they're going for campaigns. So Irene, maybe you can just take us through, like, this is physical when they go for physical functions. How does it look when we move to the virtual space?
Wow, thank you for that, and thank you for the background, especially that touches on what women aspirants and candidates are going through. To be quite honest, it's a global phenomena. I don't know if there's a country that has not reported offline or physical violence that women face, especially during the electioneering period. When it comes to the digital world, COVID, of course, exposed us to a lot of digital tools. Many of us, even if you are not using a certain platform, you found yourself, let me test it out, let me see how it looks, because of the way the challenges that came with COVID set us out to be. And also we needed to connect with some of the people who were no longer meeting in person. So many of us and digital platforms saw a huge uptake of individuals, specifically for women in politics and visible women like Advocate Samantha, who is on this call or who is on this show, will share with you and show you that it is not different. As long as you're visible, you have some professional experience, something that you do day to day, and even if you're not really a visible woman, once you start engaging online, there are different kinds of abuses that you will come across, specifically body shaming that speaks about the color of your skin, the size of your body, and then you can even go, that's on body shaming. Then we'll go to trolling, people using your images as funny characters for self-interest. People will even share, non-consent, non-consensual image sharing of women, while others even go to an extent to Photoshop, use other images online to put your face on. The other thing, of course, we've seen is bullying and telling you can't do it, yet everyone knows that you can and that you're able. All this just to continue to bring women down. But fortunately or unfortunately, what we are working on is to ensure that women leaders and women in electoral politics know that there are avenues to engage tech companies to report some of these abuses and continue engaging online. We want to ensure that we build their digital resilience so that they can also master the art of continuing with their everyday tasks, even when the world is continuing to be hateful towards them. Thank you so much, Achieng. You're on mute.
Thank you. Wakili Samantha, you've been mentioned specifically by Irene. Do you want to come in? Do you have any comments on either the video you've watched or your own personal experiences, either physically or virtually?
Yes, thank you, Achieng. I have vast experience. As I say, I was thrust into this space, not out of choice, but out of circumstance. Having been a seasoned lawyer, it was quite frustrating, that all avenues to seek redress hit a stone wall. Like I said, I was working with the Attorney General's chambers, the Ministry of Justice, and you would think that they would be interested in particularly protecting my rights. It wasn't the case. So I went outside that inner circle and went into, various offices to complain, and was even able to get audience with the UN, which also tried to engage government, but that one also didn't come through. So as leaders, what I want to say is that it's never about you. We have women who, for instance, join leadership through local councils and are battling, chauvinism over wider, and that is not to say that educated men are any better. They are quite crass, So these spaces are meant to reduce the space that women occupy. And as such, once we determine not to push back, it gives them carte blanche to treat us the way they see. I know that a government minister, for instance, was approached in a meeting. It was raised by the ambassador for the United States, and they said, oh, there's this lady, there's this complaint. And in a public forum, he said, well, it is a woman's purpose in life is to be hit on, So this was an official position, so to speak, that the perpetrator had done no wrong aside from admire a woman, and as such shouldn't be punished for simply admiring a woman. And it is quite sad that I've since learned that.
Sorry, did they actually say that he shouldn't be punished for admiring a woman?
Oh yes. The minister of Justice said that was the position. Oh yes, he said, oh, I mean, a woman's purpose in life is to be admired, and as such, she has committed no wrong. So I then learned that even with the legislative framework, with the Employment Act, particularly regulating against sexual harassment, the government position as held by the senior male contenders, they felt this was something that shouldn't really. I was treated as a nuisance, They hoped I would die away, which has given me courage to take this one further. We cannot cede any space that we get. It is an opportunity to speak out, and particularly for politicians, I've spoken to a number of them, the backlash starts from home. I was sharing a story with Policy, where I know of a gentleman whose wife was standing as a member of parliament, and she's a very beautiful woman. So as a family, they sit down and tell him and say, you've allowed your wife to take this space, but do you know the effect? So they jokingly, list people who are in parliament and say, oh, if he doesn't escape X, there is also Y, he's a predator. If she doesn't escape Y. So this is a guy who is launching the political campaign for his wife, and family is telling him, we don't really think you should have given your wife permission to take on this space. So, and he comes from a traditional kind of, place. So a meeting that was supposed to celebrate his wife ended up turning him into a wimp, someone who has allowed his wife occupy a space that is going to be then used for predatory purposes. So we have spaces like so at the end of the day, where do you cut between a woman seeking political space to be able to give of her own skill and lead their people, and then the backlash from family, which is saying like those so I know
let me bring in Honorable Olive to answer that particular question. Like, where is that line? When you have a vision for your country, you have a vision for your community, you feel like you really want to serve in a political context, but you have all this social, cultural, family, violence. How do you navigate this as a woman in politics?
Okay, thank you so much, and my sister Samantha for that preamble that you have really given us. I think it has been quite well thought, and I think the most important thing is that you're speaking out of experience. You're speaking out of what you have really gone through, and I think that's a lot that the ladies can learn from. Well, maybe to introduce myself again, I've just gone through an election. We had our elections last year in around January, and it was a very hotly contested election. I must say that I contested with three women because I'm on the affirmative seat. I contested with three women. I could also have contested on the direct seat, but people are telling you now, why are you coming for the seat which belongs to men, yet there's a seat for women? You should go for that position which is for women. And I said, okay, let me not deny my colleagues a chance there. Let me just go and go for this seat which is on affirmative action for the ladies. So
sorry to interrupt you, Honorable Namazi. Let me ask you, does the Constitution say that women can only vie for women-saved seats, or this is just the interpretation?
No. That is what the society thinks. Apart from us who have gone to class and know that, okay, but now I think it is fading away, because now I think in some of the divisions we have like some 3 directly elected councillors or something like that. But in the community, actually people will be like, she's contesting on a seat for men and something like that. So it is quite a bit challenging, but we must break the bias. Now, I was saying I was through a very hotly contested election because apart from all those issues, we had a political wave that came in of a new opposition political party. So I had to really work hard. I had those issues of violence against the women, but I also had to fight politically to make sure that I secure my seat. This is my second term in office. My first term in office, I was in a smaller constituency of about 4 parishes. So in my second term, I was given 6 more parishes. So I'm now in a constituency of 9 parishes. So you can imagine I had 6 new constituencies to campaign in with the very new dynamics, very new people. It was quite challenging. I had a dream. I had the will to serve my people, because I always believe that for me, it is always service above self. And there are so many women out there.
Sorry, it's Irene. I wanted to just use the last point you've said before we forget that,
Yes,
your your roles were increased, you managed to serve the second term. For me, is a follow-up. Have you been using online platforms for visibility of your work? And I'm not trying to compare you with men. Do you think your male counterparts do it better? And what could be the issue in terms of women just in continuously engaging on digital platforms? Women leaders continuously engaging on digital platforms.
Okay. Thank you, Irene. I think in my first term in office, I was very active on my social media. I made sure if I had an activity in the constituency, I made sure that I projected it on my, I used to use a lot of Facebook in 2016, 2021. So I made sure that I use it was my personal page and also my political page. But now in 2026, I felt that, 2021, I felt it was important for me to have a personal page and also a political page. That's why I have a page and I also have my account, which is personal. So I was using it, but I also had some challenges as a woman. And also my other women councillors or politicians, we normally have these challenges because now the previous panelists were saying that, okay, before you go to the constituency, before you go for this show, you must make sure that you are dressed like this and this. And a man who does, even when a man puts on a shirt, it is okay for him, he can go and campaign. And I mean, he will be dressed casually and it will be okay. But for you, you can't hashtag wear your mini skirt. You cannot. Every time I have to go to the constituency, actually, to avoid any sexual advances, I make sure that I have covered myself from the top up to down. I can't show my legs. I can't show my thighs. I can't show my chest. I have to be dressed in a way that is really not that I want to, because sometimes it's really so hot and you want to campaign in something that is open, not exposing, but quite open, but decent. But I can't do it because of the society that we are campaigning in, because people think that, okay, women are there to be vibed. I mean, how have I tried to social media only? You can put up a photo. Maybe it is even a serious photo. Maybe you're bringing out a very serious message, but you find somebody will come and comment in a very sexual manner. And you're here, you're a married woman, you will have people that look up to you, and you are a leader, and now you're saying, okay, what do I do? What do I do in this case? Do I go and delete the comment? Do I go and abuse the person? What do I do? So it comes to me that as women leaders, as women politicians, we must always have emotional intelligence. We must know how to answer those rude comments, to answer those unpalatable comments when they come on our social media pages, whether it is on Twitter, whether it is on Facebook, or whether it is on WhatsApp. Somebody can just want to vulgarize your comment, to vulgarize your photo because you're a woman. Someone can tell you look sexy and mean that can even bring your marriage into shambles, because somebody can say, but now, how can somebody comment like that? Maybe there's something between that person and you, and meanwhile, there is nothing. And sometimes it is our fellow women who are doing that. She will come, maybe you're maybe something you're really bringing it up there, and then she will come and be like, please. One time somebody said, please don't praise her so much because we all know her bad side. And I said, oh my God. So what is my other side that I don't know? It was quite challenging. Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you so much for that precursor
I was saying that we as women, we should not shy away from these spaces because we really use them to campaign. We use them to account to our electorates. We use them for even our own entertainment. We use them to connect globally, to connect socially, to connect in very many aspects. So we need to develop that thick skin on social media. We need to develop that digital resilience to see that we are not bullied out of these spaces, to see that we are not pushed out of these spaces, to see that we don't not that we feed. You can ask me, do we feed the trolls or not? My issue is yes or no. I've been reading a lot of the reports that policy has been writing, and I think they are quite informative. There's a lot of information there, and I think beyond reasonable doubt, you guys have proved that it is us, the women, who are most affected by this cyberbullying, by this social media. People find us, we are an easy target. I don't know why, but we must develop that thick skin, according to me. That's what I think, if we are to start.
Thank you, Honorable. And just to also remind the Kenyans who are listening, the aspirants, the candidates, those who are hopeful to be nominated through the different affirmative action measures that are available in Kenya, that as Honorable Olive has shared, resilience is one of the key ways to continue engaging in your journey. Samantha has given her own personal story, and it's a story of resilience whereby she has committed her lifeline to seek justice for her physical abuse that she faced. So I wonder how, those of us engaging online, how we can build on our digital resilience. It's a clarion call that we continue to engage these digital platforms. Honorable Olive has mentioned separating work and personal. And by separating work and personal, she has mentioned you have to have a personal account. You also have to create your work account. And if you're a politician, that means creating another profile for your global or public interaction. So that's one of the very major key things that we also found in one of the reports that we did against the Ugandan election in 2021. We found that women continue to use their personal profiles, especially on Facebook and Twitter. At the end, some of the information, personal information you willingly shared, is going to be used because you're now in the public domain. It's not that we are not saying that the harassers shouldn't stop, but it is important to separate. Just like when you go to the office, you're able to separate some of the personal information with work information so that people are not going to misuse the information that you have put out in the open. The thing that I'm trying to build upon is the importance of data. The importance of data here is that it is going to benefit you as a candidate, in that you're going to be able to reconcile all the efforts you have made if you have been able to go online and you have been able to post and showcase all the work that you have been doing in your political campaign and your political career. The second, the use of data is going to help the tech companies themselves to improve some of the areas where they are not very articulate on. We know in our African setting, we speak very many languages. We know we have different accents, we have dialects. There are so many names that are different for different abuses. So whenever you see abuses on your page, on your posts, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, the clarion call by tech companies is to give them that data, give it back. And giving it back means reporting on that abuse, reporting against that abuse. And as you know how the technology works, it's going to be a set of data that the scientists and the tech companies are going to use to inform new designs for their tech products. They're also going to reimagine the wonderful future that you're going to engage on their tech platform. So it's very important that you understand data is the key resource that propels your career. Do not shy away when what we're trying to say is that digital literacy is going to build digital resilience. So it's important to always find ways of giving yourself information about digital transformation. We know very soon, not even 20 years to come, there are going to be e-parliaments, e-councils, e-schools, e-everything, because things are going at a very fast pace. Governments are transforming digitally at a very fast pace. So it is a clarion call, especially for those of us who are really vying at very local government leadership positions. Do not shy away from engaging online. Don't say those things are for other people. What about the future? What about your own history? Just making your own history, because at the end of the day, you're the one with the dream, you're the one with the goal, and you hope to escalate from one position to the other. So to accumulate and to evidence is to ensure that your data that you're putting out in the public remains quite, information that you alone is able to share and you can permit people to use it, and also to ensure that you remain resilient and offer back data or information that comes your way that is uninteresting by reporting on the different social media platforms. And for many posts, I'm going to share quickly, is there are always 3 dots, either on your posts, either on someone else's post. If you see something bad, just click on the 3 dots and report either as spam or report as abuse, report as a hate sentiment, and so forth, so that these data sets coming from Africa make sense to the people in the global north who are designing these tech products. So please, politicians, women aspirants and candidates in Kenya, it is also important to really look at the work that you're doing on the ground translating into the digital world, so that it can be your evidence 10, 15 years to come, so that it can also show you the level of effort you have put into the work. And always remind people, document the process, so that you can also go in history books. Right now we know digital solutions are the best archive points, so that people can always see the effort that you've made. We want women to continue remaining visible, like Samantha is doing, and Honorable Olive. We want women to continue fighting on the good fight, because you're the one who has chosen to go into public office. Maybe Achieng, you can come in with a question or a comment.
Yeah, no, I have a question. So maybe everyone, whoever thinks, can answer. How much should women invest in digital spaces versus physical spaces, particularly because in the run-up to elections, you have to spend a lot of time campaigning. Many of our citizens are not on digital spaces. So where is that balance between the need to be engaging online versus engaging physically?
Okay, I would like to maybe comment on that as a politician who has used both social media and also social media campaigning and also physical campaigning. The biggest population is out physical, and the biggest population may not be on social media, but there's a population in social media that votes for us. So we cannot ignore that population. We cannot leave that space for only the gentlemen because they use it. So it's important for us to have social media handlers, for people to support us, especially during campaign time. Because when you are campaigning, you can't take your own photo. Sometimes you need to broadcast a live event. Maybe you're campaigning and you need to bring out a certain message. You can't do that yourself. But you can do both things at the same time. As I'm campaigning on ground, my personal assistant is taking photos, is documenting whatever I'm doing. Then at the end of the day, when I retire at home, I can update on my social media platforms. This is what I have done. This is what you have been doing. So it should be something that is intertwined. We should do that. We should do the social media campaigning and also the physical campaigning. What Samantha has been saying is very right. For me, my posts for 2016, 2017, because I used to document almost every activity that I had in my constituency. Some of the people that didn't know me, that didn't vote for me last time, and now were in the new constituencies, they went back and said, okay, people are saying Olive is a good politician. Let me go. So they went. At the end of that day, I was proud of my social media account. I was proud of what I had posted. And I could say, okay, for me, even if somebody brings it out in the public and like, but you on your social media page, this and this, I'll be very proud on it. So to the contestants that are out there, please make sure that you use these social media pages. Document, because it is going to help you to campaign in your next term of office. what you have, it will stand for you. Sometimes you may not have time to tell people, I have done this. You may not have time to show them the hard copy photos or the hard copy reports, but I mean, they can. And now I'm seeing even people who are selling tomatoes in my constituency, they have smartphones. Even people, you find a person who is who has a chapati stall and he has a smartphone. People I don't expect to have smartphones. They send me voice notes. I mean, and there's even another platform that we are not really using so much, but I think it's also very active. The WhatsApp statuses. Let me tell you, people can watch statuses. I think some of them use it as a form of entertainment, but for us as politicians, we can still use it as a form of accountability to tell them, okay, we've done this, because at the end of the day, they'll find you and say, oh, so we saw you here and there. We saw you, so you were there that time. So it is very important for you not to ignore the social media platforms, not to ignore the digital world. It is quite important for you to invest in it.
Maybe
let's
let
but you have to invest in it.
yeah.
I
Maybe
have a follow-up for Samantha.
Oh yes, go ahead.
Okay. Samantha, because you're in the courtroom now and you're battling your case, what would you say about your social media engagement? Do you think evidencing your experience is going to help women in the future? Do you find that there is value that this will never happen, in the future? Because at the end of the day, all the information that of your experience is online, and people will be able to go and say, this person did X. It was, it was believed he was a perpetrator, therefore we should not engage because of this and that. Do you think there is special use to document your experience in the way that you're doing? And even as a lawmaker, and also as an advocate who uses the law, do you think one day in the future the courtrooms are going to be using some of these sentiments as evidence? Thank you.
And I have a tag on question to that. I just want to maybe ask as well, like, what is it like pursuing such, deeply, I don't want to call it embarrassing, but such deep emotions online? Like, what is it like bearing yourself and what happened to you on an online platform?
I thank you. I think it's very important to document. Like we've said, the perpetrator has been appointed a Court of Appeal Justice. He's a very powerful man. What I did was I noticed that with time, stories and articles that had appeared in the press were disappearing, So I think he has a kind of way in which he has engaged for bad press to get out of his, So they had hoped I would keep quiet and it would die away. But I've realized by documenting, I meet people. I think the most touching was a police officer that I met. I went to the police headquarters and as I was checking in at security, the lady says, "Are you Samantha?" I'm like, I smile, and then she says, "Oh, I've been following you on Twitter. I'm praying for you, and asked about my case." So I've realized, one, documenting, definitely it is a double-edged sword. There are those people who use me documenting my experience to attack me. Others, I believe, feel they are speaking for him. I don't know. So I receive threats in equal measure. So it's just to say that, it's not pleasant. I soldier on. At times I ask myself why I'm still sticking it out. But it's for a bigger cause. I know, for instance, there are no precedents in our courts, and as such, very many people are looking at this case as a precedent to see how then the legal landscape is going to change. How is it bearing it all? Oh my God, I really don't know. Because the court has taken so long, I must say this case was filed in 2019 to date. I've not had a judge assigned to this case. We've had adjournment after adjournment. Very many people are saying, you will never get heard, and because he's in that space. And the most upsetting thing, I must say, for his appointment as a Court of Appeal Justice is that an appeal in the industrial court lies in that court. So it's quite, it's quite telling. But in spite of all that, I know that really whichever way it goes in the industrial court, we shall each appeal. So it's really going to take a further toll. So it's not easy bearing it all. I get comments, abuses. Other people, feel that, some people feel, considering he was not physical with me, did not rape me, that therefore it belittles the experience that I faced. And as such, so there are people who I don't want to say don't have an understanding of sexual harassment, but I have begun to believe that most of the people are pushing back because these are things they are doing, and as such they would like to just silence me. So it gives me great pride to continue to document, to pour salt in their wound, to tell them that, as women, we are taking on these spaces with dignity. If I come into the workspace, I am there to offer a service that is in line with my employment contract and not any other periphery service that you may deem entertaining to you. Yeah, so yeah, in as much as it's painful, not only for me, my family, we've gone through immeasurable, it's been tough, but still I rise, I'm here till the end.
Actually, let me also just rejoin on what Samantha has said. Because
Sure.
I've had Samantha's story over and over again, and I've been following her. But every time she speaks about her story, every time she talks about it, it further humbles me. Samantha, I must say that you are a sacrifice. Your sacrifice, and please take it with both hands. You're standing in for all those women there. Your case will set a precedent, and I believe as we move forward, we shall have a change. We are standing with you. We are behind you, Samantha. Please don't relent. We are behind you. Do not lose hope. I know you see, like Moses led the children of Israel to the promised land, sacrificed. So that is what you're also doing. We are also sacrificing in the different fields that we are. So thank you so much, Samantha. Please,
Yeah.
soldier,
Thank you.
soldier on. Yeah.
Soldier on. Aluta continua. We're behind you. If
Thank
there's
you.
any way Bonga, Dada Bonga can repost and superpost your appeals and your visibility, please, we'll be happy to do that. Personally as well, I'll be happy to repost any materials that you have that we can, just bring more light to this. Sometimes it just takes more people to be angry enough about things like this. And I have a question for both of you. If you could do it over, would you be here again? Like if you could press rewind button on your lives, would you do it again? Would you go into politics again? Would you speak out, and stand up for yourself again? Would you?
Personally, I think I was built for this fight. I think I would do it again. In spite all the inroads, I would definitely do it again.
Honorable, would you go into politics
Well,
again?
for me, politics, I mean, is my thing. It is my thing. Even when I just sit there, you find somebody saying, but I think Olive can do this. I think Olive, well, me being a former guild president, then my first term in the national politics in 2016, now in 2021, I know there are so many politicians there who are very dishonest, but we need a few honest politicians there. I know somebody would want to say, now, Oli, why are you into those things? Politics is a dirty game and all that. Well, we are there and we have to soldier on because we need good people. We need good people in politics, and we can't just leave it to the bad people, because at the end of the day, we shall have nothing to talk about So we need some good people in there. And personally, I would say, no, maybe let me go and do civic work. Let me go and just lecture, let me go and teach. No, we can't leave this space of politics for only the men. We can't leave this space of politics for only those people maybe who are loaded, who can afford to be there. We also have to fight to be there because our people need services. Our people need genuine politicians who really care about them, who care about the policies that are in place, who care about the services that are being delivered. Some politicians don't care. I mean, when they win the election, that is it for them. Don't even tell them. They'll tell you, okay, like I bought your vote and all those things. It stressed me so much. But no, we must have those ones that care about the quality of services because our people are badly off. Our people need support. So to answer you, my sister, I'll do it again and again and again. Thank you.
Wonderful. And my last question, and maybe after that you can take the last question from Irene, is if there are other women, like maybe women in Uganda, women in Kenya, women on the continent who have been thinking about going into politics or thinking about standing up publicly to protect the abuse of their rights, what would you say to them? Like, what advice would you give them? To encourage them to step out, or like what would you say to any woman watching who has the same dreams and the same determination that you wonderful women have?
Was that addressed to all of us or to
Yes.
Irene specifically?
No, to
Okay. For starters, I want to tell the women aspirants outside there, those ones in Kenya who are looking up to elections. You have a few months, like 3 or 2, I don't know. One thing that I have to tell you is that you can do it. Believe in yourself. And I have to tell you that if you have gone this far, please, you cannot afford to just give up. You cannot afford to lose hope. You cannot afford, the pot breaks at the doorway. I know you've gone through a lot, but look at the end results. They tell us that the end justifies the means. So do not keep on soldiering on. You're almost at the finish line. You can do it. Do not be brought down by maybe by patriarchies and all those things. Please do not accept. Use your social media. Invest time. If you want anything, if you want to achieve something, you must work hard for it. Try to get advice from experienced people who have been there before. If it's your first time to campaign, even if it's your second time to campaign, make sure that you really do your best. When you work hard, for me, when I'm in an election, it is a do or die. Unless when something compromises my integrity. If it doesn't compromise my integrity, if it means I have to campaign from morning up to midnight, I will campaign. If it means that I have to put on dressed like this for the whole of the campaign period, believe me, I will do it. If it means that I have to invest money there, if I have it, if I'm going to fundraise, I will do whatever it takes that I get the resources that I need, as long as it does not compromise your integrity. Please do not forget to use the digital platforms to campaign. You cannot leave those voters to your competitors, or you cannot leave them to a swing vote. They must know who to vote. They must get somebody that they can associate with. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
My advice to those in the political space, I'm addressing women, is first and foremost
not
be
just in
forgiving.
the not just in the political space, but any woman who wants to stand up and protect her rights like you have, and against even some very powerful people.
One thing, the piece of advice I can give you as women, whichever space you want to occupy, is first and foremost be forgiving to yourself. Society is so unforgiving. Every little mishap can be misinterpreted against you. So for you to be able to thrive in these spaces is to sit down and say, I will not allow judgment, external judgment, to influence what is ahead. You must be able to first and foremost forgive yourself. I mean, very many times you will doubt yourself. Very many times you'll ask yourself why it is you that is in that position. You just need to allow that doubt just for a second. Do not allow it more than a second to stay in your mind. Pick yourself up and you will thrive. Always, always be the first to forgive yourself.
Wow, wow, wow. I have learned a lot personally, even as a person who is not in electoral politics, as a candidate or an aspirant. But I wanted to take this opportunity right before we close to say that I work to ensure that I support women. That is my call. The way, Samantha said that her call is to continue to remain resilient and fight for those who are coming. So I am, I'm an advocate for women's rights, and on that basis, I work at Policy. And at Policy, we have a wonderful program where we are building the digital resilience of women political leaders. And to be a politician doesn't mean that you have to be in office. You could be a community champion like Samantha already is. You could be using social media for social change. So we are using the resources that we have to start off by building the capacities of 20 women in Uganda and 20 in Tanzania. And to be honest, we are starting with local government women leaders because we know that this position has been left out for a very long time. Women political leaders in local government positions continue to experience unwavering online violence. Some of them, due to this, they decide, you know what, I'm not engaging online. We are trying to explain to them, look, you need to continue for your own self, as Samantha has said, and for your constituents, so that they can be able to record the history of your work. So we are doing this under a program dubbed Vote Women, which has sponsored this show for today, and we hope that you will continue to follow our work. Please remember that you're in charge of your data as a politician or as a woman. You're in charge of the information you allow even other entities to put out there. So always don't go online just pressing I agree, I consent, I terms and conditions, yes. Please ensure that you read and understand before you click yes. Always know that data is the most valuable thing to you when you're engaging online, so that it cannot be misappropriated. It only takes a single click for your personal information to be out in the public domain and be used against you for very many other things. So as Honorable Olive has shared, and Wakili Samantha, all the way from Uganda, it's just to reiterate that women across the globe experience these issues. It's upon you as an individual to take different measures to continue to remain resilient when you're engaging online. Thank you so much, Achieng, for this wonderful session, and over to you.
Yes,
Thank you so
thank you Irene, for that. I'm sorry to chip in, but I thought this is something that's very important that the women need to know. As you're using as you're using your data, as you're using social media, it's very, your mental health and well-being is very important. Your health and well-being is very important. Some of these social medias, they cause anxiety, they cause stress, they can give you a sense of powerlessness, all depending on how you treat those negative sentiments. So make sure that you use the block button, use the delete button, and always report if you can. Thank you.
I think that is so useful. I really like my block and delete buttons, and I don't hesitate to use them. I think that if people really want to engage you, whether you're in politics or not, then they will engage you in a way that is acceptable. And you should be in charge of what that engagement looks like. And if they're going to spend their online time sexualizing you, harassing you, vulgarizing your posts, then they don't deserve to be in your space. I always say my timeline, my control. I decide. I delete, I ignore, delete, ignore as much as possible. And thank you for those words of wisdom, particularly around mental wellness. I think that cannot be underscored enough. The digital world can really creep into your space because it's right on your phone. It's so easy to wake up and look at your gadget and see all the comments that, you know, the notifications come in as soon as, if you go offline for a moment, the minute you come back, all the notifications are in. So another thing I do is I turn off my notifications just for my own mental health, so that when I'm ready to go into the app, then I will go into it. But it's not calling me first thing in the morning and saying, come and see all the things that people are saying about you or doing out here. So I think it's also useful in terms of just for our own mental well-being, our own digital wellness, to ensure that, you know, we're not we're being careful about who we let into our space and how those external words are being able to influence us personally. So again, thank you for those who joined. Thank you for your comments. Uh, um, um, Rose Maura, hey, good to see you online. And everyone else, thank you for joining. This was a show talking about, you know, online violence against women who are in public spaces ahead of the run up to the Kenyan election 2022. We have a show coming up next Thursday, so please tune in. Bonga Dada Bonga, Bonga Dada Bonga Dada Bonga Dada is always on at 7 p.m. East African time. Coming to a place near you, right on your phone, actually. So please tune in every Thursday to watch our live shows. We have amazing guests, and we'll have some more amazing women coming to join us next week. Thank you, Honorable Namazi. Thank you, Advocate Samantha. I really value your courage. More women need to speak up about these issues. Irene, thank you for co-creating this show with me. Thank you for being such an amazing co-host. And we'll see you next time on Bonga Dada Bonga. Bye.